Do you want to know how to talk to your child about masturbation? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about the sensitive topic of masturbation. In this video, we're going to talk about why it's important that you do talk to your child about masturbation, when is a good time to have those conversations, and how you might want to go about that. Our world is more sexual than ever before, and so it is important for parents to be the first person to teach their children about sexual matters, which means that probably you will want to be the first person to discuss masturbation with your child. However, do not have discussions about masturbation with your child when your child is very little. I've heard of people talking to their children like ages 4 and 5 about masturbation and describing it and all that kind of stuff to their children. This is not helpful. In fact, it can lead to a sexual dependency or a sexual addiction. They do not have the prefrontal cortex capacity to understand a no on masturbation. So if you present it to them as an option when they're younger, it's just presented as a yes. Even if you do tell them no, you're actually opening the mind to the idea of masturbation. There are a lot of schools around the world who have opted for teaching sexual pleasuring and masturbation to children very young, and this is actually proven to make their cultures more sexual, resulting in more teen pregnancy, more teen abortions, more teen sexual interaction. That's not the goal, right? That our children will be sexually active. So the goal when we talk about masturbation is to hopefully help them learn how to be completely free. So we get cravings for food, we get cravings for devices and videos and music. Those are all different stimulations. Well, sex is another type of stimulation, and wanting to experience something sexually could come as a craving to a person. Now, when children are really little, they might start experimenting with themselves and their genitals and those types of things, and they won't actually see it as a craving. It's just like, well, what's that? Whoa, I don't know what just happened there. Don't make a big deal out of that. When they're little, just say, oh, that's a no answer. We don't touch ourselves there. And you just keep it a no, you keep them under observation. And then of course you are going to explain to them the moral things about, if that's part of your family way. Our family, we're moral, we're religious people. And so we would explain to the children, there's a certain reason that you have these body parts, and it's not just for pleasure. I mean, there's an actual function for them. Let's talk about the functions, and let's talk about modesty and keeping them safe and that kind of thing. And our children seem to understand that. And so then they wanted to be modest and they wanted to protect themselves and not let other people touch them. So we would talk to them about boundaries and how to keep themselves safe. This was especially important because we brought troubled teens into our home to do therapeutic treatment care for many years, and many of them had sexual history. So we had to keep our children safe by teaching them all about their special body parts and what was private and what was not private and how to handle things with their body parts. When your children get a little bit older, obviously you want to start having a conversation with them about self-pleasuring. So probably you'll have to have the conversation with girls and boys at a little bit different ages. So the girls, honestly, you might have to have the conversation with them a little bit earlier because they go through puberty earlier, and everyone now is online. This is really a sad thing because that means we have to talk about it even more because they see things online that titillate them and get them feeling a sexual sensation, and then they start acting on it. And sometimes even the online images or even the references will refer them to self-pleasuring, even teach them how to do these things. And sometimes even at the school, they're teaching these things at very young ages. So find out what your schools are teaching and make sure you beat them to the punch so that when your child has to sit through that class, well, first off, I would remove them so that I'm the only one that teaches them, but let's say they have to be involved in that type of curriculum, then what you will have is a child who already knows the material and has been taught it from your point of view, which can maintain your morality as well. And then when they get there in class, they can see through the holes in what might be presented if they feel like they've gone over the mark. But you'll have to talk about things like STDs and pregnancy and all kinds of stuff like that, probably earlier than you had to learn those things when you were young. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you homeschool your children. The world we live in, if you want to keep people safe, then what you have to do is you have to make sure that you're having those conversations with your children. For sure, boys, by the time they are 13, you need to have a conversation with them about self-pleasuring. You need to make sure that all of your children know when you have these one-on-one conversations, don't have it in a group. That's really too awkward. When you have these conversations with them, let them know, listen, of course it feels pleasurable, and this is part of, why people like making babies, and that's okay, but we have to learn to give ourselves a no answer on this. Now there's a good self-government skill that you can bring in. Of course, there's other videos here on this channel about accepting no answers, so be sure to look those up. But you can teach your child to give themselves a no answer, to drop the subject about that craving, to self-stimulate, to masturbate, and you could teach them, hey, you know what? If you're one of the people who can tell yourself no and accept a no answer to a powerful craving like that, then you'll be able to be a leader and have power throughout the rest of their life, because that's the honest truth. People who give in to their impulses are just adrift at sea, but people who can conquer themselves and control themselves and say no to some of those physical impulses, those are the ones who go far. They lead out. They become the people that we all look up to. There's so much more about self-government skills like following instructions and accepting no answers. Those are going to help you have conversations with your child about masturbation. So be sure to find those videos next.